One. What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena, alongside NBC Sports Radio, 1060 AM, The Hangover in Arizona, Mr. Michael Caratudo. And from Turning Point Podcast, Jake Rongholt. You can catch him every Wednesday and or Friday. He's reviewing everything, football. He's reviewing comedy. He's reviewing movies. Make sure you check out Turning Point Podcast. Gentlemen, everybody staying safe? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Just enjoying the wonderful downtime.
Oh, yes.
At least there's an NFL draft coming up.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out if it's Saturday or not here. So, but, yep, staying safe. Everything is good.
Good. It is Saturday, and Mike, your hat is still ugly. So, that being said.
Wow. Well, I'll let you be immature.
We all know this is America's team right here. We're good.
Really?
Yeah, okay. I'll let you be immature like your fan base. Just because it's
a little love for it, yeah.
The trophy should be named after George Halas, not Lombardi. But okay, that's fine.
That's a good conversation for another time.
Let's save that conversation because I've got a few things to say in regards to that. But we've got picks.
Well, it should be named Landry, but you know.
Here we go. Picks 21 through 32.
9-1 in championships. Remember that.
You get to go first on 21, Eric.
Of course I do.
Yes, you do. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Of course I do. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. You think I'm going to let you go first? You must be crazy. Come on now. With the 21st pick, I am going with, because several wide receivers I took off the board early, but I'm going to actually go with the wide receiver from LSU. He's still on my board, Justin Jefferson. Listen, this guy, much like, CeeDee Lamb, Judy, and some of these other guys, I think this guy being 21 is going to fit the scheme of Doug Peterson. So he's a high caliber wide receiver. I was just looking over some of his tape previously before we got started here. I like this young man. I'm going with Justin Jefferson. Since Mike seemed to gracefully bow out, I think he was I thought he was going to get another hat. Never mind. Jake, who you got at 21?
Well, I'm going to stick with the wide receiver, but I'm going to stick with one that had inconsistent quarterback play last year and still was productive in the Big 12, and that is Denzel Mims. This is an athletic acrobat, a guy that loves to have acrobatic catches, battle the cornerback, and this is what the Eagles need. Carson Wentz wants a guy that's pro-ready, ready to make those kind of catches, because if you watch his highlight reel, that's all he was doing. Was using that vertical jump, was able to get off that cornerback just in time and make some amazing catches, to the point where if you were in the production truck and you had the luxury to create Denzel Mims highlights during the game, you were in luck, because that's what Mims did, and I think that's what the Eagles need, because Nelson Aguilar was a complete bust. He's now in Las Vegas. You need someone that's going to make those Eagle fans excited and challenge those Cowboys corners. Right,
yeah,
Mike?
I do like the pick, but I just feel like Justin Jefferson's going to provide more of a better fit into the scheme, because you got to figure with Deshaun on one side and Alshon on the other, I think his prime position is going to be more in that slot. But, Mike, who do you got?
Well, Jake, I hate to agree with Eric, but, yeah, I went with, since he was on my board too, Justin Jefferson. And, Jake, you said something that doesn't exist in the Big 12. It's called defense and or cornerback.
That's true.
Oh,
It's
God.
not
Here
in
he
the Big
goes.
12 where you actually have corners that can run and that play defense. So it's okay, though. I mean, I love his talent. Don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, I mean, yes, there are some pretty trash corners also in the SEC, as Eric knows how I feel about that. But that being said, I still go with Justin Jefferson. I think he's a little bit better of a route runner. I think he'll be lined up a lot outside too. I mean, I think you could move somebody speedy, even though, he has gone over the middle. Deshaun Jackson, can't talk bad about him since he went to Cal. But either way, no, I like Justin Jefferson right there. So, I mean, at least, hey, Eric, I did see one mock draft looking at some of the updates. And I'm like, oh, man, if Eric saw this, he's probably drooling. They had Jerry Jeudy slipping all the way down to 21.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of insight here, Mike, because, of course, I do follow one of the best teams in all the NFL. So,
You follow the Cowboys now?
No. Yeah.
Packers?
I do
Patriots?
actually follow the Packers a little bit just because I want to see what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. But I did see something where in some of these mock drafts where the Eagles and the Jets actually make a trade and the Eagles send Rasul Douglas to the Jets. We jump up to number, I believe it is 11, giving us the pick of either Judy, CeeDee Lamb, or some of these other big name wide receivers.
And now I see CeeDee Lamb going above Judy and Ruggs. And to me, that's
I saw that
joke.
too.
Like I don't. Again, is he good? But if you're gonna take, I mean, everybody says a route runner that gets, route concepts and trees and stuff like that. Like to me, Jerry Judy exemplifies that. And like I said, I'll even take Homer or not. I'll even take Brandon Ayuk over CeeDee Lamb. He's a better route runner.
We'll see.
I mean, look at if you look at, and it's not just going deep. I mean, to me, Ayuk's a better route runner. Lamb again. We can't coach speed. We know that. That's why I think Ruggs, who's probably of the three, the lowest of the route runners, like just the way he runs routes. But it's funny because when you run a 4-3, like not too many people are gonna. It doesn't matter how bad the route is.
True. Mike, let me go right to you. The 22nd pick belonging to the Vikings. Who you like in this one?
Well, I mean, the Vikings got a few picks here quick, but I'm going with I'm going defense, and I'm taking Christian Fulton out of LSU. I almost swapped it here, but I think Green Bay gets one of Jake's. I gave Jake's team the better one. Well, not the better one, but I think that he could go there to Minnesota. But I think Christian Fulton out of LSU. I mean, again, with what that secondary produces. I mean, I know everybody's, but the defensive backs that have flown out of there and receivers, I think if he's sitting there, which he probably will be, and I think, there were stretches where I think he's even better I think he's a better tackler, and I might be splitting hairs there because you're talking about a corner, but I think he's a little bit better of a tackler than Okudah. Might not have the reaction, because
right.
I think that's one thing Okudah has is just kind of that twitch that everybody looks for. I mean, he's not getting beat if a guy's driving him down the field and he cuts out his recovery. I think Okudah's a little quicker, but I like Fulton a lot. I think, especially with Mike Zimmer and that Minnesota defense, a guy like that will just absolutely – I think it would – I saw a lot here, offensive line too, and I thought about doing it, but I'm not going to force it if Fulton's still there. I think Minnesota snatches him up.
Jake, this is your arch rival in the Minnesota Vikings. So at 22.
Yeah, so pick logically, Jake. Don't do it.
Oh, I'm going to pick logically.
Go ahead, Jake.
I'm going to be logic. I'm going to bring logic to this because there are two players that are no longer on the Minnesota Vikings. One important one was Linval Joseph. So who do you get? Who's still on the board? Javon Kinlaw, South Carolina. You might as well nickname this guy the Predator. He is invisible until he attacks you. It is crazy how these centers cannot contain him in the ACC. They had so many issues with Javon Kinlaw. He was one of the brightest stars that South Carolina had. They didn't have that very good of a defense. But when you watch Kinlaw, like I said, he's invisible. He'll bust to that line. He'll make that sack, and then he will be making you think in the back of your head, is Kinlaw going to come out to me again? This is a good replacement for Linval Joseph, and I think that's what the Vikings will do.
For me, I actually went with a cornerback. I kind of stayed up in that northern region and went with Jalen Johnson out of Utah. I actually went with him. Listen, he's a smaller frame cornerback, but for my thing is he knows how to follow receivers exceptionally well. And looking over some of his film, I think he is more of that focused guy who he does the intangibles. And I think that's going to be the thing that's why I know he's a little higher pick, but he's elevated up. And that's why I have him going to Minnesota. When we get to the Green Bay Packers at 23, gentlemen, here is one of my trades that I have. Wow. I actually have New England coming up and switching picks with Green Bay.
What?
Yeah.
Belichick never trades up; he trades down.
It's true, he does.
I know.
All right.
But hey, Brady's gone. Time to change some things up. So New England comes up at 23, And since Green Bay has taken Jalen Johnson, whether it's Stidham or whoever they start, they're going to need some help. I say they go get the wide receiver from Clemson, T. Higgins. And I say T. Higgins is the guy that goes to New England. New England jumps up to get him because Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Judy, all these other wide receivers are getting off the board. And if you look at who's following, you've got New Orleans, you got Minnesota again, Miami, Seattle. This is when these teams start looking at what weapons can we get. So that's why I say New England goes up, gets T. Higgins from Clemson.
Wow. Well, I'm going with your boy from Minnesota, who you thought was going to go to Minnesota. That's who I had Green Bay taking is Jalen Johnson. And I thought, again, Minnesota could have went either way. But, yeah, I mean, watching Johnson the last few years, I mean, again, this kid, again, size-wise, you're right. But coverage-wise, I mean, he'll get up in these speedy receivers' face, throw them off their routes, give that defensive line a little bit of extra time. So, yeah, I absolutely loved Jalen Johnson. And unfortunately, I hate him going to the Packers because, you know, it's Jake's Packers. But that being said, you know, it's better than them ending up in Philly. So
he'd be worse if he went to Dallas. Jake, who you got with your team, man?
Well, I understand what you guys are saying about Jalen Johnson. If he drops to past number 20, he's going to be it's going to be slim pickings there pretty quick, and I think somebody will snag him. Honestly, I think Kevin King did a really good job, at a great comeback year, and Jair Alexander regressed a little bit, but he'll be back. I don't think the Packers are going to go corner on that. I think the Patriots are going to stay pat. They need a wide receiver. They don't have a number one wide receiver. Their best player is Julian Edelman. They need a 6'4" guy. So, Eric, they're going to stay at 23. They're going to get T. Higgins. T. Higgins is a versatile, nasty player. He's like a prize fighter. He's like a boxer. Seriously, you might as well throw a mouth guard in his mouth when he goes on those go routes because he knows how to contain that quarterback, but he also loves to battle. And when he gets away from that corner and he is off to the races, it's amazing what this guy is capable of. Also, he's a substance over style player. He's the kind of player that the Patriots want. He doesn't run his mouth. So I think T. Higgins is going to go number 23 to New England.
Wow.
Oh, that's what I meant, gentlemen. I'm sorry. I flipped the script. My apologies. I said New England jumps up. No. Green Bay is jumping up to get this young man. So let me stop and change that. New England has the 23 pick.
You said that you thought New England was going to trade with Green Bay and Green Bay was going to get T. Higgins. I just said the Patriots were going to stay at 23.
Okay. All right. So we're good.
You're good.
Just checking. All right. So then.
Okay. So never mind. I'm with Eric, Jake. That's how I screwed up for some reason because I was reading that and it may. Oh, wow. Yeah. So then I have actually New England taken. Oh, no. Wait. New England's – yeah, I screwed that up. So, yeah, no, I have Green Bay trading up and taking Jalen Johnson. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So you have Green Bay.
I just think that – look, and it's because of everything I said about Jalen Johnson. But, yeah, no, I think that with everybody going receiver and Aaron Rodgers, this and that, I think they do trade up, and so I wrote it right, but it is a trade. So
yeah, I'd be over the moon. I'd be over the moon if the Packers did trade up.
All your fault, Jake. That I agree with Eric. I mean, we didn't even plan this. I haven't talked to him about it.
No, we haven't. No.
I told you, Jake. See, my back is sore too, because you know.
he's gonna carry me through the rest of this one. Okay.
No, damn, that's two things we agree on. Oh my gosh.
All right, so then, well, Mike, let me go to you to 24 in New Orleans. Who you like with New Orleans?
Ooh. See, everybody's thinking here, and I've been reading this.
Okay.
And whether you believe Taysom Hill is the future, and Sean Payton says that, but man, I don't see him taking another receiver because I've seen mock drafts, and Ayuk's already gone for me.
Right.
I don't see him take. You just signed Emmanuel Sanders. Why are you taking another one? with Michael Thomas.
All right.
And Kumara. So I really do think, though, I mean, I hate buying this stuff, but I do think they take Jordan Love, man. I think he takes him, and he's going to sit, and we'll see what happens with Taysom Hill. But, I mean, I just don't see I don't see the Saints like that far off. And bringing in Emmanuel Sanders defensively on the line, I mean, yeah, can you always add depth? Everybody says that, sure. But I just see taking a young quarterback who, and even you said when we were talking about quarterbacks going off in the first 5 that's a project. Everybody feels it's a project. But, man, I just think with what Sean Payton does, I mean, I see it there. I could see it happening. So, I mean, I hate to do it, but I think they take him, and we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe it doesn't pan out, and Taysom Hill can have a whole career being a Swiss Army knife, because when that dude gets the ball in his hands, I mean, come on. I've seen it. It does. And, I mean, he can throw, obviously, that deep pass that he threw. I mean, he waited, but the strength of his arm in that game is ridiculous. So I say Jordan Love goes here, and I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me with Sean Payton, because you get to sit and learn under Drew Brees. I mean, okay.
Yeah,
I'll take it. So, yeah, I mean,
Jake,
I thought going D-line there, but I'm gonna stay with the quarterback.
All right, Jake, who you got? New Orleans.
Well, the Saints' biggest issue was their secondary play. Now, they did help out with Marshawn Lattimore. They got Janoris Jenkins off free agency, was smart on their part. But you look at their safety play, and it's a problem outside of Malcolm Jenkins. Their biggest weak spot was Marcus Williams. So they're going to go get Xavier McKinney, safety, out of Alabama.
Okay.
Watching this versatile weapon. I mean, this guy's like a Swiss Army knife out there. If you need him for a safety blitz, so be it. He'll go in there. He'll do that. If you need him on a deep ball coverage, he'll stay back and he'll be able to try and make those plays. He's a good tackler as well, very educated, good football mind. If the Saints want to be able to be this team to get in the Super Bowl, because their window is starting to shut. So if they want to be able to have this ability to get into the Super Bowl next year and take down guys like Tampa and rule the NFC South, you have to have a good secondary. And you're going to have that if you get Xavier McKinney.
Listen, Brandon Marshall said on First Take this week that the NFC South belongs to Tampa, and the New Orleans, they're not getting back to the postseason. Well, they're not getting back to the dance, is what he said. Hey, don't look at me. I'm saying what Brandon Marshall said.
They all want to be. They all just want to tower down. Whatever.
But also think about this
Sean
too.
Payton doesn't know how to coach. I'm sorry. Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0, and he's not.
I mean, we
Drew
all should
Brees,
be
but
honest.
He's very good.
We should all be honest that the Saints should have got higher in the playoffs. I mean, they should not have lost to the Minnesota Vikings, but their secondary play was such a headache to watch, and they gave
Minnesota
Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs everything they wanted.
And Kyle Rudolph is a cheater who didn't get called.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
If it would have been against the Patriots, that would have been called offensive pass interference, because, we can't have that. Kyle, dude, if I'm 6'5" and 230 and I barely extend on a 5'10", 200-pound corner, guess what? You're moving. I'm catching the ball. I have more space. Either way, it's a penalty in the regular season. It's a penalty in the postseason. He's a Viking. You don't like the Vikings anyway. He cheated. If it happened against the Patriots, it would have been called, just like that.
All right. That being said, New Orleans.
Fairly said.
I have to – when I made this pick, the one person I thought of was Kamara. I feel like Alvin Kamara needed some help at the running back position. So I'm saying for that reason, they go get Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, because he's still on my board. I know he is a high second-round pick in a lot of people's mock drafts. But I think if you put Kamara and Jonathan Taylor together, that right there, along with Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Taysom Hill, and the rest of that crew, and you still have the NFL all-time leading touchdown guy in Drew Brees, that's a recipe for disaster in the NFC South. So that's why I say Jonathan Taylor is a nice little piece that you just drop in and say, okay, here we go. All right, we're back to Minnesota now at 25. Yep. And Mike, who you like?
Well, that's where I was. See, I was thinking of Taylor, next to Dalvin Cook because Cook's got some early mileage built up.
Oh, no.
So I know that would make Jake really happy because we all know how pathetic
yes.
the Packers' run defense is. So, and that's why I was thinking, as much as I'm like, oh, Eric will like this, Big Ten, but I mean, he does have – I thought about Allaire from LSU here.
Yeah.
Because I think it's bounced, but you're right. It is a speed thing, and I think that he is the fastest of them. So I think Minnesota, Mike Zimmer, come on. I mean, Mike Zimmer, Sean Payton, all that Parcells tree, thinking, ooh, he's right here. We're going to take him, big boy out of Wisconsin. Not even big. I mean, he is bigger, but I mean, fast. I mean,
5'11", 214.
Yeah.
Best running back since Ron Dane to come out of Wisconsin.
Well, I mean, that doesn't say much, but that's okay. No, I'm kidding, Jake. I'm kidding. I just had to say that, Jake. I'm kidding. No.
Good. That
being said, though, no, I mean, I do like that pick there for Minnesota because, again, teams with multiple picks, I mean, I always say beef up the defensive line, get more edge rushers, but again, you have a back like there sitting there. So yeah, I'm with there. I think Minnesota takes them right there.
See, Mike, I stayed on the offense, but I went a different direction. I went wide receiver because what did you do? You sent Stephon Diggs to Buffalo. So that's why I said for that reason, you go get your boy Denzel Mims from Baylor, and you put him in Minnesota because now that's giving Kirk Cousins a new weapon to play with and kind of build himself with and just kind of –
your favorite quarterback.
Oh, yeah. I could talk about him forever. Let me – walking piece. Anyhow, I digress. I'm simply going to say Denzel Mims added piece to the Minnesota offense. Jake, back to you, Minnesota, man.
Well, Gary Kubiak is the new offensive coordinator now because Kevin Stefanski went to Cleveland as their head coach. But there is one thing that Minnesota would love to have, and that's a toolbox player, I like to call it. That's Laviska Shenault from Colorado. I mean, you talk about a versatile weapon that could give the Lions, the Bears, and the Packers all headaches because if you watch this guy, not only can he do well in the deep ball, but he can also get it done on punt return, kick return. He can make slants happen, go routes, anything that you need out of this kid, flag patterns. He is a toolbox player and would be huge for Minnesota to get because not only mention this, he was a top 10 pick coming into this until he had those injury concerns when he was at Colorado. But he had a superb combine, and he would be a blessing in disguise for the Vikings if they wanted to get Shenault. He would be a big wrecking ball for the Vikings offense.
Well, and Jake, you already have Mims off the board, and I totally spaced because I had him going in the second round just because he got banged up in the middle of the season. But 2 years ago, he single-handedly derailed ASU, beat ASU when they were in Boulder. This last year, he got banged up in the ASU game, and ASU still found a way early in the season to drop that game. But yeah, I mean, you talk about, it's funny because I had him going as the first receiver in the second round, but because of that. But I'll tell you what, he's stronger than CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you see standing next to him on the field again. I haven't stood next to CeeDee Lamb. But he's bigger than Judy, and he's also bigger, I want to say, than Ruggs. Maybe not height, but I mean he's just bigger than Ruggs. You see this dude, he will absolutely road grade. It's like an offensive lineman just like putting down a corner, but like he'll just blow over these corners. So that's actually a heck of a pick there. I mean, because like I said, you had Mims off the board, but I could see somebody that's taking a receiver if obviously Judy, Ruggs, Jefferson, are obviously all gone. Like
at this
point,
that's
the guy that I think will jump up boards quick because you can't coach that physical domination. So, that's an interesting pick, Jake. Look at you showing some Pac-12 smarts. I love it.
Well, Shenault, the thing about him is that I feel like if he drops to 30, let's say, if he miraculously drops to 30, I think the Packers will grab him. But I think the Vikings think this is a can't-miss pick for them. They need somebody that can replace Stephon Diggs. Well, why not? Get a toolbox player. That's what you need.
Jake, I'm going right back to you. We're back with Miami here at 26. Who do you let Miami taking in this pick?
Well, look at the wide receiver core for the Miami Dolphins. It's bare. Outside of Devontae Parker, they really don't have much. Allen Hurns is banged up right now. They don't really have much youth that's really dependable. I think they're going to go get Mike's guy, Brandon Ayuk, because if Ayuk or Shenault drop to the Packers, I will be a very happy man. But I think Ayuk is just a terrific football player because 1,192 yards and 8 touchdowns. He had a true freshman quarterback. But if you watch him against big-time programs like Oregon, he was taking out that secondary like there was no tomorrow. And if Miami wants to be that team that can rise up and be that AFC East favorite, you got to get a number one guy like Ayuk, because if you have Parker and Ayuk there, that could be a lot of fun for Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert if the Dolphins decide to go down that road. So get a quarterback, a safety, and a wide receiver. You're on the right track, Miami.
All right, for me, I just want to talk about Miami protecting whatever quarterback they do get. I say they go get from Michigan, they go get Cesar Ruiz, the offensive lineman, using him just to protect those young quarterbacks. Ruiz is a monster. Yeah,
he's a center.
Yep.
Yes,
yeah. He can play
Mike
guard
Pouncey's
too.
gone,
That's a big boy.
Yeah, so that's why I say Caesar's going to have I think he's going to have a major impact. And then what you do is you're building your foundation between your quarterback and your center, because we know and we've seen that's so pivotal. You look at the great quarterbacks, their center, like I always think of Jeff Saturday and Peyton Manning. Those guys knew each other. They knew everything from stem to stern. So that's why I say you start with that. Mike, who you like?
Well, Jake, you talked me into it. I'm switching up. Chenault's going right there. They need another receiver. And no, but you're right. I mean, it is bare. I mean, but Eric, I was with you, man. I was thinking either going O-line or maybe even running back here. Or Alaire's still there because definitely. They need that too.
Yeah.
But in a passing league, and again, I don't disagree with the O-line pick, but yeah, just totally because I thought Shenault would go in the second round because of injuries, but I think he slides there. That's perfect for Miami. You get a big physical receiver, but it's not even as big. People say, oh, Biggie's a little bit slower. Obviously, he's not. And, you know, him and Montez and Colorado had great rapport. But, yeah, I'm going with letting Jake talk me in. But, no, he is awesome. But, yeah, no, I think Miami goes with Shenault there because if he gets down to the end, you could see somebody. And now that if you can see somebody like Andy Reid just taking a guy like that and be like, okay, just give me another offensive weapon that you can't cover.
Exactly. And I think that's the mindset of that.
So
and
I think Miami steals him because he's going to end up in the AFC anyway.
Yeah, I'm tempted to change, but I like Ruiz there.
We'll get to that. But yeah, right. No, I see what you're doing.
So 27 with Seattle, you know, my first thought, of course, was get an edge rusher because we still don't know what's going on with Clowney. But I kind of went outside the box on this one a little bit. And my biggest thing was protect Russell Wilson. So I said they go get from Houston, they go get Joshua Jones. Beefing up that offensive line.
He's got some beef.
And Russell Wilson needs to stop running for his life.
That's never going to change,
Wilson
man.
Likes running for his life.
I understand that, but Father Time is undefeated. And as great of a career as he has, I don't need one slip to cause this man to be out of the NFL. I love watching Russell Wilson. I love what he's able to do, and I think it should be.
But he doesn't take hits, Eric. He's not Robert Griffin III taking hits. He doesn't take hits.
I understand that, but these edge rushers are getting bigger. They're getting faster. They're getting stronger. Russ is a short guy, man. He's elusive, don't get me wrong, but you've got to find somebody to be able to contain these guys, at least for a moment, even if it's for a split second, so that Russell can do what he does and work his magic. But that's why I say Joshua Jones out of Houston is the guy that Seattle picks up. Jake, who you like?
They need an edge rusher bad. And because, you know, Ziggy Ansah he was just a disappointment. They got Jaron Reed, who's a Pro Bowler. They need edge rushers. And I know the one guy that can really help him, that's Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State. Okay. Holy mackerel.
All right.
Let's go back to the days of prime Aldon Smith, for crying out loud, when he was just unblockable. And, and that's what I see when I watch this Gross Matos guy. I go back to the Penn State-Wisconsin game. Wisconsin was at Penn State, and they could not move that football because Gross Matos was crashing that left tackle every chance that he possibly could. So Gross Matos, they would love him in Seattle because not only that, he has a great attitude, and that's what Seattle wants. They want that rebel without a cause kind of attitude with him. So Gross Matos, I think, would be a home run for John Schneider and the Seattle Seahawks.
If he wasn't already off my board, that's where I probably would have sent him. Like
he's off my board too. He's not lasting that long.
Well, that's what I said. It was my homer pick because I wanted him to come play down here with Tampa. But Mike, who do you got Seattle taking?
Well, you say edge rusher. Of course, our boy's already gone. But I'm going. What helps edge rushers? Dudes that can cover. Dudes that stick.
Yeah.
Who had the best secondary in the Pac-12? Utah. And that's why Terrell Burgess flies up the board, and they take Burgess in Seattle. Hey, look, they've been looking to replace Chancellor. I mean, yeah, granted, yes, Sherman. It was a corner, but Terrell Burgess, for people that don't know, like Big Ten homers and SEC homers, Terrell Burgess can run. He plays safety. He's not getting beat deep. So I'm not saying he's running 4-2, 4-3 or 4-3 like Ruggs, but I'll tell you what, man, he gets in the system, and that is why that Seattle, Pete Carroll, going defense, taking dudes. Burgess is going to be a guy that goes into the first round right there. And again, because of some of the other corners are gone, there's other ones or safeties that are gone. There's others that I thought of could be right there. But I'll tell you what, man, I'll take Burgess over any of them. And so I think Pete Carroll goes that way because then, again, like you said, we don't know. Look, they need an edge rusher, but I just think there's outside a receiver. There's depth in that in this draft, and they'll get it later. But yeah, if you don't take Burgess here, I mean, this kid, I love this kid. I mean, I'd love him even more if he had a Sun Devil uniform on. But I mean, that's.
Yeah.
But watching them play, but Pete Carroll goes defense there. I mean, I think we're agreeing defense, Jake, but that helps the pass rushers because dudes ain't going to be open. He'll bait you to throw the ball, and then you throw it, and you're like, why did I throw that ball?
So, Mike, staying with you, brother, let's go right to Baltimore. Who do you got Baltimore taking at 28?
Well, it kind of screwed me up because I had Baltimore everybody else did. I got to go with I think they go O-line.
Hey, Mike, your volume's we're losing you on
heard
volume.
O-line.
O-line. You got me?
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
O-line.
Okay. I think they go O-line, and I want to say it was it's Austin Jackson.
Okay.
I think they and for everything we say about protecting quarterbacks, I'm not saying O-line was their issue, but this was a tough one for me. I was going to try and cheat actually and see where you guys went because I know they always want to go defense.
Right.
Like I could see him going linebacker because there's like I had it down. There was like 3 linebackers. I thought it was like splitting hairs, but I just think that you have Lamar. Like, what'd you say about Russell Wilson, man?
Right. Yeah. I feel you.
Lamar Jackson's bigger. I don't know. Where are you going, Jake? Because I'm torn. I might change after you two guys go.
I know. I like that pick. I think they could go offensive line because Marshall Yanda just called it a career. But if there is one guy out there, you talk about him. I mean, I could see them go and get Cesar Ruiz. There's a possibility. But I just don't think they need linebackers. They went and signed Jake Ryan to, a 1-year minimum deal today. They went and got Derek Wolfe. They got Calais Campbell. But that was their biggest issue in the front seven was stopping the run. And Kenneth Murray was the only player I could think of out of the Big 12 that really was ready to play in football. He is old school. I love watching Kenneth Murray play football because he's an old school football player. He is a terrific tackler. He is a good leader. He had 102 total tackles in 2019. He lets his play do the talking. He is the kind of blue-collar, here's your lunchbox kind of defensive player that you want in Baltimore to really fit with it. And I think Kenneth Murray would be a big-time addition for the Baltimore Ravens. I think Kenneth Murray's going to Baltimore.
Well, see, I had Kenneth Murray earlier. I had him going to the Broncos, so I had to find me somebody. So when I looked and I realized you two gentlemen, I think, already took him off the board, whereas I did not. This is where I have Fulton from LSU, Christian Fulton. I still have him on my board.
Okay.
So this is where, and Jake, I was on the same mindset of you. When we think of Baltimore, what do we think of? We think of defenses up until this previous year, okay? We think of Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed. We think of all those boys. That's what's missing from Baltimore. You've got your offensive weapons right now, and Lamar Jackson's going to be Lamar Jackson. I expect great things from this young man moving forward. You got Hollywood Brown. You got Mark Ingram. You know, you're starting to put all those pieces. Who was their tight end that they had this year too? God, the name escapes me, but he was.
Who was this? Oh, that was Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews, thank you. Yeah.
Mark Andrews.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark
So I'm
Andrews,
like,
man,
you've got that side of the ball. For the most part, you've got it sewn up. Now you build that defense, and that's why I say LSU Fulton, because he's still on my board. That's where I got him going. So, Mike,
What
is
about
go ahead,
Eric? What about Patrick Queen? That was the other guy I was thinking of too.
I have him going to the Las Vegas Raiders.
I could see if Queen or Murray are on the board. That's a tough one right there. That's kind of like a coin flip because they're both ready. They're both ready to play in Don Martindale's system. So
yeah,
that's what I was going to say to you, Jake, because of linebackers, and I like Patrick Queen.
I do
a
too.
lot. I'm like,
but Murray,
I could just see him with the little curveball going with Jackson there.
If you watch Murray though, he is fast.
Oh yes.
I am amazed by how fast Murray is. And they need that inside linebacker approach to the blitz, and that could really help them as well.
I haven't seen as much of Murray, I'll be honest, but I think Queen goes sideline to sideline better.
But that's why I also said, when you think of that speed, I normally attribute that to Von Miller, and that's why I had him go into the Broncos, because he could learn from Von Miller, but keep that speed for that Broncos defense, which is why I had him going there. All right, so
fair point,
Mike. This is where I finally show you boys some love. Tennessee Titans at 29. Take your boy Brandon Ayuk.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the way to 29.
I think he drops all the way to 29, and you know what? It's just going to give Tannehill one additional weapon to be able to throw the ball to. I like him. Don't get it twisted, because I did watch him, and I know you're highly touted on him and everything, but I've seen the tape. I just feel like working with Rabel and working with that team, and we know Tennessee right now, I think, is on the cusp of just kind of staying in the limelight as far as being an AFC South, winner and getting to the postseason with that core group. I think Ayuk fits that scheme the best, which is why I have him going to Tennessee at 29.
But again, I mean, they want to run the ball, and I agree. I mean, I think he'd fit a lot. I mean, personally, I think he would fit. Like you said, I see your pick with the Saints, but putting him somewhere like New Orleans, dude, forget it. That nobody in the South. I mean, they would kill.
Brandon Ayuk on one side and Michael Thomas on the other. All right. Well, who you like going to Tennessee? All right, Jake, Tennessee, who you like?
Well, one thing about Mike Vrabel I know is that he's all about defense, and he lost one of his big anchors over the offseason. That's Terrell Casey, so you got to go get and build this up. Who's a quiet guy, who's one that's going to punch you in the mouth, and he's not going to say anything. He's just going to make you feel it. That's A.J. Epinesa from Iowa. if there was one guy I loved watching in the Big Ten more, it was AJ Epinesa, because I was just blown away by this kid. I mean, he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't lose his mind. He's not like Mark Gastineau back in the 80s or anything like that. He just comes at you, dusts himself off, and says, all right, let's go on to the next play. He's an offensive tackle's nightmare. And it would be an amazing matchup if I got to see him battle it out with the Colts, for example, with Epinesa. And you need that enforcer. You need that one that is going to look at that quarterback like a dartboard and hit that bullseye every time. AJ Epinesa, quiet, silent, and is just an absolute force at defensive end. I'm going with him for the Titans.
Okay, so you think that he was fourth on my Titans list, Jake?
Oh, okay.
He was
okay.
fourth. He's fourth right there. But it's hard not to look.
All right,
Eric,
yeah.
Eric, I'm with you on your point of offense. It's hard, and this is what it's split, because I also had him taking your boy from Michigan in Vrabel's true thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I had Epinesa down due to the fact that everybody's talking about, obviously, it's kind of exceeded almost left tackle as the second most important position, is an edge rusher. Because you got to get there, you got to contain these quarterbacks. I guess I got to agree with Jake. See, this is why I'd have to be an assistant general manager and picks like 25 and picks like not even the first 20, but picks 25 through 32. I'd have to be like an assistant general manager because I have like 12 names down in general. But I'll agree with Jake there because I mean you have these quarterbacks, you have that running game. Their offensive line again wasn't really the issue. Receiver would be huge there. I mean, again, IU could still be there, like we said, or even earlier, Chenault could still technically be there too. I could see him, especially fitting Vrabel, a physical receiver like Chenault, definitely taking that. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Epinesa because I think he just wants to get defensive dudes that just want to literally kill quarterbacks.
And that's what he did. That is what he did. I swear Tanner Morgan from Minnesota's having nightmares over Epinesa just crashing through off that right side. Oh, he is. And it's also versatile because he can play left side, he can play right side as well.
Jake, speaking of Minnesota real quick, how is it that they pluck one of the top three corners from Arizona, Steven Ortiz Jr.? Dude, this kid, Eric, he's going to make your Penn State receivers look dumb. I'm telling you right now. Like, you can't, like we always say, you can't coach
Fleck.
He might not have the hype, but he took the virtual tour. That was his because he had like 22 offers. That was 21 offers. That was his like 21 of 22 offers. He took the virtual tour, and then I mean, again, yes, he could still change his mind, but dude, there's another dude that committed after him. I think that's a safe, not from here, but that's a safety. But yeah, Steven Ortiz Jr. I mean, he going to make those Ohio State and Penn State receivers look silly.
We'll see.
Well, that was one of the big flaws with Minnesota's secondary last year was their cornerback play. I mean, they had a great safety in Antoine Winfield Jr., but outside of that, if you watch that Wisconsin-Minnesota game, those corners could not contain the Wisconsin receivers for some odd reason because the only one they had was Quintez Cephas.
All right, we're getting down to the last three, gentlemen. So for number 30, this is where I have New England because Green Bay went up to get T. Higgins. So, with New England, what do? You're starting over pretty much if you ask me. The only solid guy you still have there is Edelman. But hold on.
Get off that. N'Keal Harry is the man. He was injured last year.
Okay, well, there you go. He was injured. We didn't see him. We didn't see him. I got to see him this year. I got to see him this year. So that's why. But the one thing, and Mike, you're notorious for saying it, Bill Belichick, defensive coach. So who does he go get? He gets a young man from TCU by the name of Ross Blackbook. What was it? I think I said the last name wrong.
Is it Blackman?
Blackman, thank you.
Is it Ross Blackman?
I can't read Blacklock.
Blacklock.
Blacklock, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Blacklock. Okay, right.
Yep. Thank you. TCU, I can't even read my own handwriting. TCU, defensive tackle, Ross Blacklock. That's a guy, he is a Bill Belichick guy, in my opinion. He's going to fit that defense and still make them one of the nastiest defenses out there. So that's why New England was able to let Green Bay go up and get a weapon in T. Higgins because Belichick's going to find diamonds in the rough in the later rounds anyhow. So he came back to 30, took Blacklock. Gentlemen?
Wow. Well, I'm going with our boy from Michigan.
Okay.
Because you got a new quarterback.
Yeah.
We say offensive line, he's still on my board. So he can play center and guard. I think he really money-wise, I think he wants to be a center. But he can play both. They need to run the ball better to control the clock, which he'll want to do with obviously Brady not being there, Mr. Dump Down. You talk about Edelman. But N'Keal Harry, come on. His first touchdown catch was vintage. N'Keal Harry barely got the second foot down, toe tapped, made it look just smooth and easy. So N'Keal Harry, again, it did suck. He had the injury that kept him out for 10 weeks last year. But yeah, I say they go O-line to protect the new QB. And our boy, our road grader from Michigan is going to be causing problems for some defensive line. Because, again, look, you got to compete with Buffalo's defensive line. I would have said the Jets, but we know the Jets are okay. The Jets are a little bit down. All kidding aside on that one. But the Bills' defensive line and defense in general, you need to draft best available there. But you also need to think of what you're seeing twice a year because they have the defensive line. They also have the secondary that can give the defensive line an extra second, which it doesn't really need, as we saw a good amount of last year. But, yeah, I think they go O-line, protect the new QB, and we see a little bit of a different offense from Josh McDaniels and the Patriots this year.
So you're saying Cesar Ruiz.
Cesar Ruiz, yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't
okay.
say the big boy from Michigan because, they're all big from the Midwest there.
All right, Jake, who you got?
Well, if the Packers don't trade up, they'll stay at number 30. And if Ayuk, Chenault, and Higgins are taken off the board, they need another wide receiver. And I would have to say there's this guy in the Big 12 that I watched, no quarterback whatsoever. One of the worst quarterbacks he's ever had, but he was great throughout his college career, and that's Jalen Reagor from TCU. I was blown away by this kid because just like Chenault, he's a toolbox player. He can be able to help on his special teams. He can help with the slant. That was one of the Packers' biggest flaws last year was the quick slant was an issue for them, and they need that guy. He's fast. He is elusive, and he had 611 yards and 5 touchdowns. I get that, but when you don't have any quarterback play, you go from no quarterback to one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And so if those receivers are taken off the board and Reagor's there, I think the Packers will go get Reagor. I think he would be a blast to watch with Matt LaFleur's offense because one of the best things about LaFleur's offense, he likes to be creative, and he would be great on the reverse as well, and that's what you need. The biggest problem with the Packers receivers last year, no speed. They will have speed with Jalen Reagor.
All right, Mike, you gave me yours, got Jake's. Jake, I'm going to come right back to you. San Francisco 49ers at 31. Who do they take?
I think they're going to go dark horse on this one. And I think one of their biggest flaws in that Super Bowl was their safety play. I was not impressed with Jarquiski Tartt at all. I thought he was just having issues with the Chiefs receivers. I think they're going to go outside the box. They're going to go get safety Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois. I was blown away by this kid's highlight reel. I couldn't believe that this guy was playing with teams like North Dakota. He was going against teams like North Dakota State and UMass and all this. I was blown away by this kid because one of the things is he's a safety blitzing dream. And that is one thing that the Niners would love to have because they love to blitz. I know everybody's out there saying, oh, they're going to get defensive line. Guess what? One of the biggest losses they had last year was DJ Jones. Before DJ Jones got injured and was out for the rest of the year, the guy had 7 sacks. They're fine defensive line. But their safety play was one of their biggest issues in the Super Bowl. I think they're going to go get Jeremy Chin.
All right.
Wow. Jeremy Chin?
Yeah.
Wow. Chin.
Not even on your board, Mike, is he? At least not where you got him.
Not in the first round.
Not in the first round.
Everything that Jake says about this kid, because I love watching smaller schools anyway.
Me too.
Because
of course.
Everybody says, oh, this and that. I'm like, dude, like, and as much as it pains me, because like I said, I know, obviously he had talent because the Cowboys really wanted Carson Wentz, but they weren't going to give up as much as the Eagles did. But everybody's saying, I'm like, dude, he's the best quarterback in the country. I'm like, I don't care if he played at North Dakota State. Look at the size. I go, yeah. And they win the championship every year. I'm like, dude is sick. But I like to pick a chin. I will say though, overall, defensively, I mean, come on, the Chiefs receivers made a lot of people look stupid, Jake.
That's true, but the Niners have one of the best defenses.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard for me to pick for the Niners and Kyle Shanahan. I just, man, you make a very convincing point there about Chin, because there wouldn't be much expected. And I mean, first round pick, yes, in a way, but man, that's where you find those, like Eric, like you said, dive into the rough.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know I was watching when they had during the combine, I was watching stuff, and literally they did when they started talking about smaller schools on Bleacher Report, and then I remember seeing some of his film, and I'm like, well, it's always going to show the best. I do like his agility, Jake. I will give you that. The dude.
Oh my goodness.
The dude plays.
He's like the Flash.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go with Chin. You see, as the AGM, you just sold me, Jake. You sold me. I'm going with Chin there, and if we're wrong, it's your fault. But no,
I'm freezing cold takes then.
I love the. I mean, I love picks like that, just because, dude, these guys get to that level, and like I said, they're in the NFL. Whether they have a 3-year career or a 10-year career, obviously that's the difference. But yeah, I could see Kyle. I could see them. I mean, I had them more going offense here, but since they already went offense. Since I haven't taken the receiver with their first pick, I'll go. You sold me as an AGM. I'll go with Chin here, Eric. I like that pick.
Okay, so here is my other trade that I've got going on here.
See, I think they're going to trade it though. I should have said that. With you.
This is my trade. So here it is.
Round. The Chiefs are going to trade. Okay.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to trade with Pittsburgh for their second round, and then maybe some more in 2021.
Wait, who'd you pick for the Niners?
No, the Chiefs. I mean, I'm sorry. The 49ers are trading with Pittsburgh. I'm sorry.
Okay,
not the Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, whoa, okay, gotcha.
My apologies. The 49ers come in. No. Yeah, the 49ers trade. I have it. Hold on. Let me just pull it up.
With Pittsburgh.
Take a breath.
The 49ers trade with Pittsburgh. San Francisco gets their second round pick and some more picks in 2021. Pittsburgh at 31 takes Jalen Hurts, quarterback.
But they wouldn't even have to trade back into the first round to get him.
Not necessarily. My friend.
I don't know if the Steelers would do that. I mean, I like Jalen Hurts. I like Hurts.
I'll put it to you like this, because I had two different scenarios. If San Francisco was to keep their pick at 31, then they would go edge rusher, and they would take from Notre Dame Julian Okara. Yes. So those are my two different scenarios, but I went with Pittsburgh coming up to get Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
So at 32, now we're with the Chiefs.
Okay, now we're with the Chiefs. So you think that the Niners are going to trade with the Steelers?
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
I do.
Possibly.
At 32, the Super Bowl champ Kansas City Chiefs, I say they go get from LSU another offensive lineman. He is a center as well, Lloyd Cushenberry. And I feel he can fit the Andy Reid scheme. And I just think that, they're building upon making sure that Patrick Mahomes is always protected. So I say Lloyd Cushenberry from LSU ends the first round and goes to the Chiefs. Gents?
They need a center.
Mike,
a center.
Who you got?
I'm going with an LSU boy, but I'm going with Allaire, the running back. I think he wants to. I don't think center, but he's not going to come in and start. I think you put somebody like Allaire next to Williams, next to Hill, Kelsey. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. So, and I think he's definitely a little bit of a change of pace back. Again, like I said earlier, maybe not the crazy breakaway speed. No, he's not slow, but dude doesn't go down on first contact. And look, I was going to be a homer here and say they would like stretch and take my boy Eno Benjamin, but it is whoever gets Eno Benjamin is pretty much getting, I think, somebody that's maybe a little bit quicker than Allaire. But I will tell you this: both of them are twins in the fact that like they don't go down on first contact.
Okay.
I mean, Eno Benjamin led the country last year. His sophomore season, he led the country in yards after first contact. So, and I mean, this year, again, with a true freshman quarterback, he saw a lot of 8-man fronts. And as the season went on, his production got bigger and bigger. But, I mean, with what Allaire did in that LSU offense, what he meant to it, I mean, why guys like, Jefferson and like, he just doesn't go down. So I see Andy Reid as adding another little Energizer bunny to the offensive treats, as you know, Eric. I mean, Come on, he brought in his boy Shady McCoy last year. He had a decent, I mean, again, didn't have the biggest of years, but in spots, I mean, it looked like he was that guy. But you bring in a young back like that with Williams, dude. I mean, have all the edge rushers you want because he gets by him. Guess what? They ain't catching him.
All right, Jake, close us out, brother. Who do you have the Kansas City Chiefs taking at 32?
Well, right now, if you look at the Chiefs depth chart on offensive line, it's a problem right now. Austin Reiter is their center right now. They have work at left guard that they need, and so they need a versatile player. And there was one guy in the Big Ten I could think of that is going to match this. If he does drop to 32, Chiefs are going to get Cesar Ruiz. I'm blown away by this kid. He has the handwork, the speed off the snap, the snapping ability that Alex Mack used to have when he got out of college. I am just floored by this kid. He's like a wall. I cannot believe this. He's 6'4", 319 pounds. They lost a lot when Mitch Morse went to Buffalo, and they need someone that's going to be versatile because just in case their guard is not working, they could switch him out and put him over to left guard. And that's what the Chiefs wanted, because if you watch that Super Bowl, their offensive line could not contain that defensive line for the 49ers. It was up to Mahomes' feet and his ability to find people down the field. And if he has enough time in the pocket, sit back, have a coffee and a Danish here, Mahomes, because if Cesar Ruiz is your center, you're going to be just fine. I think if he is on that board, he's not going to the second round. He's going to hit 32, and he's going to Kansas City.
Well, I said that earlier, Jake, so I would have agreed with you had I not taken him. That's all the reason why I think Baltimore beats him to it. So I think if the Chiefs want him, they have to trade up and get ahead of Baltimore.
And see, I think Miami takes him because you build that connection with whoever your quarterback is going to be, because we already know that it might be Tua, it might be Herbert, it might be we know
also,
that. Go ahead.
Also, Eric, there's another – if he drops this other player, because that's another thing that the Chiefs needed is outside linebacker. If Patrick Queen is there,
yes,
Queen could go to Kansas City too.
Yeah, very true. Gentlemen, this has been great as always. Thank you. Hey,
it's fun.
Turning Point Podcast. Check them out on Wednesdays and Fridays. Mr. Jake Rongholt, NBC Sports Hangover in Arizona, AM 1060. Mr. Michael Caratanudo and your man Eric Wilson, Sports Arena 1070, The Zone, WKII. As always, gentlemen, thank you. Much love to you guys. We will definitely be talking soon, and keep your calendars open because the draft is on Thursday, and I'm going to need some real-time reaction from you guys.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
All right, see ya.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Pack, go.
Fly, Eagles, fly.